Lot translates to land in the sea in the Balinese language, which perfectly describes this rock formation and the temple that sits atop it. It can be found along the southwest coast of Bali and is one of 7 ocean temples, each of which was built within eye line of the next. Tanah Lot was built around the 16th century to honor the sea spirits. It is believed that it is protected by sea serpents. The rock base that the temple sits on has been reconstructed over time as the original rock had begun crumbling into the ocean. Visitors are able to access the island via foot during low tide. However, this is one of the most visited and photographed temples in Bali, and it is especially busy at sunrise and sunset. Although, if you intend to, but this view might just be worth the risk.
And thanks for joining the Admin Show. And I have a very special guest, Meghna.
Hello.
She's an eye doctor. And Meghna came up with a very interesting topic about history of Indonesia. And I kind of find it interesting. And so Meghna, can you briefly talk about the history of Indonesia before we begin our question and answer session?
So up until about the 15th century, there was predominantly Hinduism as the main religion in Indonesia. Now and for a bit, it was just in Bali where it was primarily Hindu. So what happened around the 15th century, there were some, people that came in, the expanding Islam, and they basically pushed out the Hindus and basically took over most areas. Again, Bali was prevalent with Hinduism then, now, and still, but before that, there was a little bit of tension as far as the religious gap.
Okay. Alrighty. What historical events led to Hinduism's decline in Indonesia?
So again, having those sultanates, the population, I really feel like people, to me, were forced because of that pressure. And I mean, when your village is burning and things like that, I mean, where do you go?
Okay. All right. What factors sparked the revival of Hinduism in 20th century?
So in Java, Indonesia, around 1960, 1970, there are communities that were reclaiming these ancient sites. And while they were doing that, they were also building and expanding on new temples. And that usually, has been seen historically as a response to social or political crises, maybe a shift to change, to do something different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How did the Indonesia state respond to Hindus seeking recognition?
So thankfully, after Indonesia's independence, the Hindu religion, or the Hindu Dharma, was recognized around 1963 thanks to advocacy and silent support of some leaders, especially the President Sukarno was influenced by the Hindu Balinese culture, and that played a great instrumental part of reviving Hinduism in Indonesia.
Okay. I've heard that in Indonesia they have the Ganesha picture on the rupees. Have you heard that one?
No. Since the Julia Roberts movie, and we talked about Julia Roberts the last podcast. Eat, Pray, Love has always been the Italy and then the Bali, before that in India and then Bali. So I've always wanted.
For you, a goodbye gift.
Please, you hear me.
You healed me too, Cadet. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have come back to Bali, and I wouldn't have come back to myself. You want coffee? Roast? Coffee. Terima kasih. I get you coffee.
You fly back to America soon?
In 2 hours. Have you ever been on an airplane, Cadet?
Ketut cannot fly on aeroplane. Ketut have no teeth. come back to Bali, come to my cremation. Balinese cremation ceremony is very fun. You will like it.
Okay.
You still smile with your liver, like I tell you.
Yes.
You still meditate like your guru in India, did you?
Yes.
You happy now, Nicole?
Yes.
You love your new boyfriend?
I ended it.
Don't understand why you do that.
I couldn't keep my balance.
Please, listen to Ketut. Sometimes to lose balance for love is part of living balanced life.
To go and experience that. But it's cool learning after that movie came out the importance not only of Julia Roberts and her brief time in Hinduism, but also Bali and its significance. So that's really cool that they have Ganesha. Because when you see things, at least in books and online about Bali, there's so many elephants. So it's very cool they have Ganesha.
Yeah, very, very cool. Okay, what role has Bali played in Hindu revival?
So essentially has a really large Hindu population. It's the largest in Indonesia. And having that recognition culturally and the organization of it and that being the center for the country, that helped build the temples and support the religious activities across Indonesia.
Okay. How have new Hindu communities formed in regions outside Bali?
So the new Hindu communities like in Java and Kalimantan and Sulawesi they recently built or rediscovered ancient temples. And doing that with the historical ties really helped define, these new places and re-demonstrate the importance of Hinduism to Bali.
Okay. How are ancient traditions maintained in modern society?
So Indonesian Hindus are very good at adapting to their cultural, activities and rituals, but also the religious adaptation and temple activities. They blend that with the local customs and the social norms. So if you have the contemporary issues, to keep the Balinese, just Indonesian rather, identity, but then also you blend the Asian texts like the Vedas and scriptures and things like that. For Hinduism, having that hybrid combination really helps push forth more of a Hindu presence in Indonesia.
Okay. What role do economic and political factors play in Hindu revival?
So these crises, I feel, they've driven these communities to seek spiritual or cultural roots. Remember, before the 15th century, Indonesia was primarily Hindu. So they go back to that, that brings up conversations, and that helps reclaim the practicing Hinduism.
Okay. I missed one question. What is the significance of organization like Parisada Hindu Dharma Indonesia, PHDI?
So PHDI has Hindus nationwide, worldwide, and basically they advocate for religious rights. That helped define Hinduism again as a national Indonesian tradition rather than just localized to a Balinese one.
How have non-Balinese ethnic group embraced Hinduism?
So in the decades recently that have passed, there's more ethnic groups, especially in the areas with the historical monuments. And because of those significance, they revive these historical temples, monuments, whatever, brings together the community for cultural activities and really revives the presence of Hinduism.
Okay, what challenges and opportunities lie ahead of Hinduism in Indonesia?
So the Indonesians that are Hindu, they still face challenges in like reference to like the integration socially and religiously, because remember, for a time there were other religions that had taken over, like cultural pride, the restoration of the temples, and the legal recognition that's really strengthening the Hinduism in the community and building the future for it.
Okay. So, can you talk about the most prominent Indonesian figure to publicly convert to Hinduism, Sukarno Putri? Can you talk? Talk about her.
So she is the daughter of Indonesia's first president, Sukarno. In October 2021, she converted to Islam through a ceremony called Shuddhi Vedani, influeenced by her Balinese Hindu grandmother. And another notable figure was a model, Happy Salma. She converted to Hinduism after being a Balinese prince in 2010.
Okay. So, do you think that what is this proselytization like?
So basically, that's the active but strongly encouraging. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to change their faith. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in Indonesia's reference, because of that shift of having people convert, contemporary Indonesia, that's still happening. Mm-hmm. And that can be a challenge, and it can be met with resistance when trying to go back to the predominant previous Hindu faith.
Yeah. So here we are not trying to say that which is better, which is not better. We are just trying to understand the history of Indonesia and where it comes from and things like that, just to have a basic understanding.
Of course, yeah. But it's really cool to see something in the past being brought up again because of the political, social, cultural changes.
Yeah.
Because remember, that's what drives now. It's like the things that were there in the past, because of what the country is facing, they're going back to the roots.
Yeah.
So it's just no conflict, just conversation.
Just conversation and just trying to understand. Have a basic understanding.
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much for giving an insight. And do you have to say anything for my viewers of The Admin Show?
I do enjoy the various guests and conversations that you have. They come like expected but unexpected. I always tell everyone I'm an ABCD, so how I learned culture and Hinduism is different than someone that immigrated here to the States.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see how no matter where our background is, we always find something common to link together. And you really should just watch because every episode is so unique and different.
Yes.
Provides so much.
And thank you for supporting.
Of course!
Mhm.
This is awesome. It's a great experience to be part of. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, viewers.
Namaste.
Bye.